Greetings, YouTube. The doctor is in. Dr. Urius Papers here for another commentary on Marvel Contest of Champions. So yesterday we talked about cosmic champions that we think are important and that we want or that we want to awaken. So today I'm going to talk about tech champions that I want, and if I want them, you want them, and so does everybody else. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, please hit the like button, and don't forget to leave a comment or question if you got one, and I'll get back with you. So let's talk about tech, and I want to address 6-star techs first. So I've got 3 of them right now, and I'm really not happy with the ones that I have. I've got Punisher 2099, Green Goblin, and Iron Man. I'm never going to use these guys. I'm never going to rank them up. They're there. And I use them for arena. That's it. So that's as far as they go. Now, who do I want? Well, the number one on the list that I got, just because these are in alphabetical order, is Civil Warrior. So there he is right there, Civil Warrior. And why do we want Civil Warrior? Because Civil Warrior is the Fury God. So he'll get armor ups, and then he can back up. So you see here, unless otherwise noted, Civil Warrior's armor up-ups provide 250. Every 5th basic attack that either champion throws has a 100% chance to grant an armor up buff. And if he darts back and holds block for 1.2 seconds, they turn into Furies. I have a 5-star Civil Warrior and a 4-star Civil Warrior, and I have gotten greater than 30 Furies on those guys before, and they do a massive amount of damage. So Civil Warrior is definitely somebody I'm interested in. So who else am I interested in? And of course, in alphabetical order, Darkhawk. Why? So Darkhawk is one of the gods of double immunities. So Darkhawk is bleed, poison, immune. And he's got some pretty good synergies. So he's got a lot of utility. And if he's on your team, he's one of these guys that can go forward and do a lot of damage. And take on nodes that are really hard to take on. Okay, next one, Ghost. Everybody wants Ghost. Ghost does tons of damage. She's got her phasing ability that allows her to crit, and then also to crit with all of her specials. So, of course. Now, I am not a big fan of Guillotine 2099. The only reason I might want her is for her synergies, and particularly, let's look at the synergy that I'm looking at. Particularly the one that says AI Uprising. So, it's for Warlock, Sentinel, Nebula, Warlock, Sentinel, and Darkhawk. The 4 ones, all 4 of these are on my list. So they all gain 70% of a bar of power each time an immunity prevents a bleed or poison effect. So if they're going into Biohazard or one of the poison or bleed nodes and those get prevented, or they're going up against somebody that causes poison or bleed, like Immortal Abomination or Abomination, who can be a pain to fight, these guys will rack up. They will rack up power fast. And for all of them, that's a really good thing, too, because, like, Nebula is one of the ones I want, and she needs to use a special 2 at a certain point. And so the same thing goes for Warlock. So it's really important for them to rack up power. So she's good for that. That's what she's good for. I don't really like the fact that she doesn't do, this is Guillotine 2099, that she doesn't do crits. She does... I guess you can rack up her degen damage, but I'm not a big fan of her. Okay, so who's next? Well, Nebula. Nebula is next. So Nebula, because she can rack up a bunch of shocks by blocking. If she holds her block, about every 1 to 1.5 seconds, she gets a shock debuff that when she parries gets transferred. With her special 2, she can double the amount of debuffs, and she can add a shock onto an opponent with a heavy attack. So just even when she gets 3 or 4 of those things on, and then you hit her with a special 2, they turn into 1,000 points of damage every second easily. So who's next? Sentinel. And, of course, Nebula is bleed, poison, immune. That is the main one. So the next one is Sentinel. Sentinel has so much utility. Bleed, poison, immune. Special 1 does a ton of armor break. Special 2 does a bunch of incinerates. And then he also has this mechanic. So let's take a look at that. So he's got robotics. He's got this mechanic of analysis, target analysis. Sentinel monitors the target. When they repeat the same action consecutively, Sentinel gains 4 analysis charges. He can gain up to 100. He's designed to hunt mutants. He gains double when he's going up against a mutant. So the special attacks cost less per analysis charge. His armor rating goes up, his crit rating goes up, and his attack rating go up. Okay. Analysis complete. So this is where you want to get. So when he gets 100, analysis becomes complete. He gets the following. So a special 1 and special 2 effects trigger on targets that block. So he goes right through them. Charging a heavy attack, he becomes unstoppable. And then when he inflicts shock, incinerate, heal, or armor break, the duration is increased by 100%. So he is amazing when his analysis is complete. And there are a couple of synergies that you can rack on top of him that will cause him to start with more analysis charges. So I don't believe they're in here. They're not in here right now. They're kind of hidden. And it's Sasquatch. So it's a 5 or 6 star Sasquatch, which is, if you watch my Mystic video, that's one of them. And it is a 4 star or higher Jubilee. Either one of those will cause him to start with 30 charges on their own, and together he will start with 60. So that is amazing, and it doesn't take him very long to get to 100, and then he just wipes out of his opponent. Okay, the last one that I'm talking about here is Warlock. So Warlock is amazing. Again, he's a robot. He's poison, bleed, immune. If he's awakened, he does degen damage on his specials. And he does power drain with his special 1. He has a bleed attack on his heavy. And his special 2 is just absolutely amazing when he's awakened. It's amazing when he's not awakened, but it's even more amazing when he is awakened, and especially if the opponent is infected. So he's got this infected metric that if you get 20 infected charges, if they hit you or you hit them, every time they get an infection charge, then if he gets 20, they're infected. If you hit him with a special 1, then drains all their power out. If you hit him with a special 2, does a whole bunch of extra damage. And then if he's awakened, it does degen. Okay, so that's all the 6. I'd love to have any of those 6 stars, but let's go back and let's look at the 5 stars that I have. And so I have a lot of these 5 stars. I have a lot of them, and many of them on my list I have. So I have a Civil Warrior. There he is. He's not awakened, so he's one of the guys I'd love to get awakened. I have a Ghost. So there she is, not awakened. Again, I want her awakened. I have a Darkhawk, but he's not awakened, and I want him awakened. And I have a Warlock, and he's the one I really want to get awakened. So he's a rank 4 right now, and I want him awakened. Because once he's awakened, then I will use him. And I have a Guillotine 2099. I may eventually take her to rank 2 or rank 3, but right now, all I'm using her for is that AI Uprising. I also have this Ultron, and Ultron feeds into that as well. So if we look at, let's look at the Ultron here. I think it's in his, it may not be in his, it is not. But if we look at Warlock, I think it's in his. So if we look at, there he is right there. Robot Uprising. Whenever any teammate would receive a debuff they are immune to, bleed and poison, they gain a fury. So Warlock will gain a fury, and then he will get he will get from Guillotine, because it's not on here, but it's on Guillotine 2099, the AI Uprising. So whenever he would receive a bleed or a poison, he's going to gain a Fury, which lasts for 6 seconds, and he's going to gain 70% of a bar of power, which is great. The Self Friends thing is okay. It's better for Sunspot and Magic. It's not so great. It's okay for him. Special attacks generate 70% less power in the opponents. That's okay. I'm not a big fan of that. This is another amazing one, too, that goes along with him, and that is the synergy with Cable. Whenever the opponent would gain one or more virus charges, he has a 50% chance to gain an additional charge. So every time he gets hit or every time he hits, when Cable is on the team, you'll see it. He will start just stacking up those infection charges fast, and usually it happens twice as fast. The Mutant Agenda one is okay. I'm not a big fan of that one. So, but definitely, if you got Warlock on your team, you need to have Guillotine 2099, Ultron, and Cable. And then it's optional to have Magic on there, but if you have all 5 of those, Warlock is just going to be amazing. So that's pretty much what I'm looking at as far as who I want as a 6-star and who I want to awaken, because I've got most of these as 5 stars. I don't have, I believe, a 5-star Nebula. I would love to get a 5-star Nebula. That would be fantastic. She's probably the only one out of these guys that I want. Kang is on here. He's a trophy champion. I don't really care. He's not that great. Mysterio's okay. Mysterio can do some decent poison damage, but he's not a utility guy. Nebula, again, is one of the robot gods who has bleed, poison, immune, and shock and everything else. And she's got regen, too. So I think she'd be a good one, too. So that's what we're looking at for tech. Again, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and if you have any questions or comments, leave one below.